Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
It's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainashev and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my Bruin brothers and sisters.
Greetings, Cretans.
Well, we have a couple of Cretans here in the studio with us. Me and JP are sharing with Chris Kennedy and Warren Billups, the head brewer and assistant brewer at Heretic Brewing Company.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
You can see how live and dynamic it is down at
Heretic Brewing Company. The two most personable people in brewing.
How exciting it is.
People love us. They find me pleasant to be around.
The reviewers of tours say we treat them like family.
You yell at them and tell them to get off your shit?
Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot like judging beer.
Your personal.
I'll tell you your personal to your face, but enter your personality in the competition, and I'll rip it apart. I don't know. That was a good analogy. I like that. It wasn't very good.
It
was
topical.
It was kind of sloppy.
Topical, like an ointment,
or a cream,
or a cream.
Creme.
What is cream?
for $500, I'll go with what is cream.
The rapist. What are we doing today, Jamil and John Palmer? It's French.
We are answering questions again today.
I think Palmer is French for handshake.
Or hand.
Or rub and tug.
Yeah.
Or hand lotion.
Job, yeah.
Speaking of hand lotion.
God, this is really gone.
You want to start over?
No,
let's talk about our friend John Blickman.
All right.
Of hand lotion.
So I just want to go on the record. That one was Palmer's fault, not mine.
Yeah.
When Blickman calls up and complains, Justin, it was Palmer. It was Palmer. No. I tell you, he's. That's one thing about John Blickman. You're not going to notice. I mean, you deal with Blickman Engineering. What you're going to get is, great customer service, great, appreciation of you as a customer. A really very professional, top-notch run organization.
Yep.
Now, I love me my John Blickman. But I'll tell you, the guy's got a wacky, weird sense of humor. When you go out and hang out with that guy, you know him, I tell you, you're looking at somebody who's got kind of a funny, deviant
Midwest
sense of humor.
Just like our other good buddy, John Palmer.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, Palmer's becoming more deviant on the radio the longer he goes on. If you go back to when the show started, it's like, I don't know. I don't think I can say darn, because that would be offensive to the Darnites. So, but now, look at him.
Yeah.
Huh? Look at him.
I've gotten much more comfortable on air.
It's the radio.
It's the
Can't
radio.
look at him.
You can't look at him, yeah. But our good friend John Blickman, he's a funny guy, and I tell you, just like a lot of very intelligent, creative people, he's funny, and he also takes that intelligence and creativity and puts it towards great brewing equipment. So he's always trying to figure out new ways to make the brew day, that much more effective or easy or much more successful. And that's what you get with Blickman Engineering. So go check them out on the web. Blickman with 2 N's, engineering.com. And while you're at it, send them an email. Tell them, hey, John, thanks for paying for this Brew Strong program. I like it. And, thanks for paying for the show for us. So I'm sure he would appreciate it. And if you have a good joke or something, you can send that to him. I'm saying.
Feel like that.
He enjoys good comedy. All right. So Q&A, live Q&A. What do we got here, JP? What's our first question out of the bucket?
Well, I'm going to pass this to John Palmer. It is a question about magnesium. And Jamil, if you feel like you know, you can just jump in anyway. But hey, guys, this is from Jason.
You know, I'd have an answer regardless of whether I knew the answer. I'd have an answer for you.
When I was mining magnesium in my younger days. Hey, guys, I love the show and thought it was high time to ask my very first question for the next Q&A. John's How to Brew and other resources recommend a magnesium level of 10 to 30 ppm and state that it is a necessary yeast nutrient. I live in Portland, Oregon, where the water report shows a magnesium level of 1 ppm, far below the recommended 10. I've been adding Epsom salts to my water to bring it up to the recommended level, but have found that after doing so, I need to also add other salts to balance out the sulfate from the Epsom. I read in some forums on the web that some amount of magnesium exists in malt and that is extracted out during the mash, so it's not necessary to add any extra magnesium to my mash water. Is there any validity to this? Am I adding Epsom salts to my water unnecessarily? I listened to all the Waterganza shows and have searched the web far and wide, but haven't been able to find the answer to my question. Thanks for your help, Jason.
Well, that is a really good question.
Thank you.
Malt is supposed to contain, some amount of magnesium that the yeast need, and they indeed need as an enzyme cofactor for a good fermentation. So the problem is that the magnesium levels in the malt will vary with the region that the malt was grown. I'd assume that most malts have minimum levels that will probably, brewing works. It's a very robust process, but so in other words, I think you could get away with not adding any magnesium. But if you're in Portland, the water there is so devoid of minerals, it's practically snow melt, that I think some magnesium and some calcium is warranted to improve your fermentation further. Magnesium aside, all the classic brewing books, de Klerk, Malting Brewing Science, Kuhn's, and so on, all recommend 50 parts per million of calcium as a minimum for good fermentation performance, good clarification performance. Afterwards.
Flocculation, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I think if you're doing that, then you might as well add the magnesium along with it. Some magnesium sulfate. That being said, you can brew beer with distilled water. You can, without any salt additions whatsoever, and you get beer. The question is, do you get the best beer you could be getting? And I think that's what the only way you can answer that is to, by tasting and comparing. Jamil?
Yeah, I would. I'm not sure about 10 ppm on magnesium, and the enzymatic reactions that magnesium is a cofactor in. Other, mineral salts would take the place. I think zinc is much more important. I would worry about zinc. I wouldn't worry about magnesium. I think if you got some magnesium there, you're going to get some from the malt. It's really not an issue. I wouldn't bother with adding magnesium, but I would make sure you got enough zinc, make sure you got enough calcium. You should be good to go on all the rest, like John's saying, the malts. And I think regardless of where they're grown, I think most malts have appropriate magnesium. I'm not sure. I imagine there's probably some region where they don't, but in general they do. There's a lot of uptake from the soil, and I think that's a pretty common element mineral element in the malt. So
your beer glass is empty.
I'd worry far more about zinc and calcium.
And with questions like that, you can always probably have a favorite local brewer. You can always ask them what they do for their water additions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really, really happy with a local brewer's beer, just see if they're adding Epsom salts, or it's always good to get the opinion of people who battle like weird water like that, where there's 0 of some or 1 ppm of something that normally.
Well, there's plenty of brewers that they strip it down and then build back
build it
up.
back up.
You look at Firestone Walker does that, and a number of others. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll more of your questions after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmaster's database if you want, and the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then, bam, click Buy Recipe, and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmaster's Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmaster's Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
A heretic is anyone who does not conform to an established attitude, doctrine, or principle.
If you love craft beer, you're already a heretic.
The very first thing we did when we started looking at the beers that we would brew, we got rid of all those recipes. We started from scratch. We've been pilot brewing the most creative things that we could think of and the most interesting things. We've completely gone away from style.
Heretic Brewing Company is opening this spring in Pittsburgh, California, and you can be a part of it. Visit hereticbrewing.com and facebook.com/hereticbrew. Get the latest updates on the brewery and upcoming beers. Show everyone how you celebrate great beer as a heretic.
It's a fairly powerful word. Being a heretic, that means you're not settling for ordinary beer. You are going with flavorful, creative, bold, interesting beers. A heretic is looking for the best beers out there.
Be a heretic. Don't drink ordinary beer.
Have you ever dreamed about attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lallemand and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lallemand and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2012 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition in the 2012 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth more than $3,000. From now until April 12, 2012, every Danstar yeast package you use is your ticket to enter. Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar 2012 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lallemand Premium Brewing Yeast and enter to win.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz,
is More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of the buzz, the forum, the learning center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back
with beer
and more of your questions.
That sounded like a produced segment.
All right, yeah, we do these Q&A shows every so often. We try and catch up on all your questions. You can email them in to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com and try and keep them on topic. And one question per email, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. All right, what's our next question, JP?
Next question is from Adam in Sydney, Australia. He says, I'm an Australian who, like half the country, has spent some time of his life in the UK. I got back to brewing in Australia mainly to replicate English beers. 20 years later, still brewing, but the final step is to set up a hand pump / sparkler system to get that particular quality you can only get from a pumped beer. I'm heading to the UK in a few months and want to buy the equipment while I'm there. Can you find someone who knows it inside and out and can tell me what I need, how to set it up, and most importantly, how to manage the keg? Will it run from a corny? So how would I manage the CO2 gas blanket, et cetera, et cetera? Cheers.
I was thinking we could probably do a show on this, John, but
yeah,
you know, it's pretty simple, really. You're gonna find whatever used beer engine you can get. I have an Angram. They come in different sizes, different size pours based on how many per stroke. So you can pull on the handle and you'll get like a quarter of a pint, a half a pint. They come in different increments. And generally for homebrew, you want the smallest increment. If you get the largest increment, that thing's filled with beer. There's a lot of waste when you stop. The reason they have the bigger ones is for bars where they want to fill glasses really fast and not waste a lot of time. But for homebrew use, you use the smallest ones you can get. All right.
Does it make a difference as well as like how far the keg is from the handle? As to the size of it?
Well, yeah. I mean, keep your tubing as short as possible so you reduce waste as well. You can go ahead and pull directly off a corny. What you do is you vent one side of it. Mm-hmm. And you draw air in and you pump the beer back out, and you can carbonate like you would a firkin or whatever, or a pin. The thing is, he talks about CO2 blanket. Well, the only way you're going to CO2 blanket it is with a cask breather. You can buy those online. They've gotten cheaper now, but they're still not too inexpensive. You hook it up to CO2, and what it does is provide like a 1 psi pressure over the beer of CO2, so when you're drawing in. And I think for homebrew, actually, that's a pretty useful thing, unless you're going to use the keg up within a day or two, because when you draw in that air, and one of the great things about cask beer, true cask beer and real ale, is that the air is drawn in and the beer starts to take on some of the character of the environment where it's at, your individual pub. And you'll get bacteria and yeast and stuff in there that start to oxidize and take on other characteristics, and that's fine unless it goes a little too far, and it goes too far pretty quick. So you got to drink that whole thing in a day or two. That's fine. But if you're expecting it to last weeks, then you got to do the cask breather, and it's considered not quite as real ale, but it's still fine.
Well, is a cask breather like just putting like a very, very low pressure on your regulator to the keg?
But most regulators won't do 1 psi.
I think a cask breather works because when the keg draws a vacuum, it draws in the CO2 as opposed to a constant force of pressure on the. It's like a membrane.
It's 1 psi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But if you could have a real fine regulator that would do 1 psi, that would be fine. But that's essentially what the cask breather is. And it's a diaphragm that pulls open, but what you end up with is about 1 psi. For the diaphragm to close, it takes about a psi. So once it reaches a psi, that pushes it shut. So it has some minor pressure. So the equivalent thing would be the same if you have a real fine regulator on it.
Well, he mentioned a sparkler,
right?
And if he's also using a CO2 cask breather, he's not too worried about tradition. So I mean, at that point, honestly, like I would recommend actually trying out just a nitro tap. Don't use nitrogen. Just do a low carbonation on your CO2 on your beer. Run it through a nitro tap. You're going to get with the sparkler, you get the cascading head that you get on a nitro tap with the restricting disc.
Restricted dick,
and then it's going to lower. It's going to lower your CO2, and the only when you have a cask, when you're hand pulling with a CO2 breather and a sparkler, there's no difference.
I'm listening to you, Chris.
No. There's no difference. Right. There's no difference between using a nitro tap.
I mean,
and
a lot of people will tell you you're a nutcase for even considering using a sparkler in the first place. And some people are cool with the sparkler, some people aren't. A sparkler is just like a little plastic piece that you screw on the end of the beer engine, and it just drives all the CO2 out and makes it cascade up through the beer. So the cool thing is you can buy a sparkler. It tends to be like $5, and you can take it on or off your beer engine and try both and see what you like. And so I wouldn't hesitate to get a sparkler, but depending on whether you like it or not. But yeah, on the whole, the thing is the beer engines, you can't hook up a carbonated keg or anything at pressure because, I mean, depending on how long your line is, if it was in the cellar, sure, it'll be okay. But if the line's short and it's at the same level, it's going to push beer through your beer engine. It's going to leak out onto the floor.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because it's not like an open close valve. It's a pump, and it's opened all the way through to the end. So the beer will actually push its way out of the beer engine. So you can't have pressurized there. But you could on a faucet, do a gas blend or something like that, and that works fairly well. I've done just really low carbonation beers, like Chris is saying, and served them that way, and that's actually pretty good. It's nothing like real ale, and but
really neither is using
a cask breather. Sure,
a
it is
sparkler with a CO2 breather.
Yeah, please. I think those are two entirely different worlds. Even the people that hate sparklers and cask breathers would still say that's far better than a cask conditioned firkin and the right temperature and all that. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, did we answer that one?
I don't know.
I think
I kind of tuned out about 4 times.
All right,
you need to hook them up with someone to
one.
get it from.
I know Northern Brewer sells them now. Right. But I don't know anybody.
If you're in England, just get on the equivalent of Craigslist in England, and check it out. There's shops that sell them.
I think it's Craigslist
and used ones.
Craig's Q.
And used ones out there, and you can pick them up fairly cheap. It's just and you throw them in your luggage and bring them back home. So yeah, you can get them there pretty cheap.
Here's a question from the chat. From Dog is my co-pilot. He says, I've been using a blow-off tube instead of an airlock lately, and I've noticed that if I run the tube into a larger vessel with more liquid, it seems to get a lot more pressure build before the CO2 releases.
Mm-hmm.
Does that extra pressure have a negative effect on the yeast?
Oh, it's such a small amount of pressure. Not really. But, a little bit of head pressure reduces ester production. But, how deep are you making this thing? 15 feet?
No, it was like a quarter gallon or something like
right.
that. Is what he said.
It's not enough to really probably notice the difference. You might.
All right. Here's one from John in Fort Collins. Hey, Jamon and Jamil. And whatever asshat is running the board this week, I'll assume that's meant for Warren. Your recent episode about boil gravity and IBUs reminded me of something that's been bugging me. I've seen it argued many times that going to a full boil is the best thing you can do for your beer. What I don't see is why. I understand that it changes hop utilization, but you can't account for that in your recipe. And you can add extract at flame out to prevent scorching and darkening of the wort. I've never gotten an infection from top-up water, but you could always pre-boil it if you are worried. So what does a full wort boil buy you? God, that's hard to say. That makes it so important. This is just curiosity for me. I already do 5-gallon all-grade batches on a propane burner. Seems like you could take the money you'd spend on a burner, brew pot, and chiller and invest the gear for your yeast starters and fermentation temp control, and that would be way better bang for the buck. Thanks for your wisdom, and keep up the awesome work. What does full volume do? Full wort boil.
It keeps the flavors to what you expect them to be for the style, for one. I mean, when you're boiling your wort to produce any particular style, a full wort boil means that you have the typical boil gravity, final and original gravity of that beer on the stove. You should be generating typical boil flavors like the melanoidin formation and so on during that boil, and then you get the typical flavors that you're expecting. If you do a concentrated boil, those reactions are a little different. You get a little different flavor profile. Is it a huge deal? No. Is it a significant deal? Yes. So that's one reason that we always argue to go to a full wort boil whenever possible.
Well, and we've also been fond of saying, things like, proteins and all that, as far as head retention and body and
right,
things like that,
right,
can be affected by concentrated boil and then thinning out with water. It's a different character to the beer than, boiling the full volume at that point.
That's another good point. Yes.
But if he's adding the extract late, that helps mitigate that impact, right?
Yeah,
yes.
And I've made a good beer with, the canned extract that you just add water to. I've actually done that, and nobody said anything about extract or boiling or anything. So I think that's possible, but I think you get a different character. My times doing less than full wort boil, and then, it's a long time ago before I did that and switched to full wort boil. But I thought that there was a significant difference there. So, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, maybe today if I experimented enough side by side, you might be able to make some adjustments for the difference between full wort boil and concentrated boil to kind of mitigate some of those changes. I don't know.
That's a big difference, because it's the difference between needing a wort chiller and needing a lot more space, perhaps boiling outside and then easily boiling on your kitchen stove. And so it's a big deal to a lot of people, especially apartment brewers. So.
Sure.
All right. This one is from Destry in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Hey, guys, I love the show and enjoy learning from you. I just started brewing, and I'm working on catching up on the shows. I'm thinking about brewing a mead.
What is M-E-A-D, mead? What is that?
Yeah, I love that. Anyway, sorry. I'm thinking about brewing a mead, and I want to have it ready for next Christmas or New Year's. I figured a mix of 3 pounds of honey per gallon of water, so 15 pounds of honey and 5 gallons of water. I'll use the Y Yeast 4184 Sweet Mead yeast, and want to know if there's a difference between a standard honey and a flavored cream honey. He gives a list of the, old-fashioned creamed style huckleberry honey. Thanks, and keep on keeping on. What is the difference, I guess, between a creamed honey and a normal honey? Standard honey.
I think they whip air into creamed honey.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I would think.
Creamed honey sounds like date night.
I thought that was something else.
Yeah, cream honey. Well, and the only other thing that kind of threw me is it's been a while since I made mead, but 15 gallons, or three per
15
per gallon,
and 5 gallons.
Right, and 3 pounds per gallon, and along with the sweet mead yeast, I think it'd be too sweet. Wouldn't that end up quite a sweet mead?
I'm tempted to say yes, but I'm not real sure.
If you're going to go with a real high starting,
gravity,
use the sweet. If you're going to do a moderate starting gravity, use the then you can use the sweet mead yeast. It doesn't attenuate as much.
Not knowing what 15-pound specific gravity would end up with, or 15 pounds of honey in that.
Somebody whip out the calculator. I'm thinking it's like 30, 130.
130, because I had one that was 120 this last fall, and I did a sweet mead yeast, and it went down into single digits left of specific gravity, and I had to back sweeten it because I was hoping that it would stop.
Right.
I was hoping that it would stop, but it just went too low, so I had to back sweeten it.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
Live and learn, I suppose, is the answer.
And the cream, it's like a creamsicle. How much cream do they put in a creamsicle?
Right. Spider Wrangler,
however much it takes.
Spider Wrangler in the chat says, wouldn't creamed honey potentially open you up for bacteria and wild yeast, since they are likely not whipping HEPA-filtered air in? But I don't think so, because I think the pH and the sugar content in the honey is not going to let anything grow, and then you're boiling it.
Well, the thing about why honey doesn't grow anything is because there's no water there. So concentrated that, but the bacteria and wild yeast will still be on there. It's just once it oxidizes and water starts to form, then the bacteria and yeast take over.
So is that an
so
issue?
It
that's why you boil.
Doesn't mean that it's not.
15 minutes.
Well, you don't boil. Well, you can, but with meads, Ken Schramm's book, The Complete Mead Maker, excellent book. That's just pick that up, read that, follow it word for word. Just follow his instructions. You'll make great mead. That's the way to go. Anything we say on this show is null and void.
Ken Schramm's book, definitely.
Right. Tell Ken to send a check.
Has that ever happened?
No. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, more of your questions after this.
What does craft beer mean to you? Is it a delicious way to support your town's local brewer? Or perhaps it's the perfect beverage to pair with those delicious devils on horseback? Regardless of whether you're thinking of pints or pairings, pilsners or porters, craftbeer.com is the site where craft beer lovers come together to learn and share. Craftbeer.com is brought to you by the Brewers Association and celebrates the best of American craft beer and its brewers. Craftbeer.com is the best place to find craft beer events, recipes, great feature stories, the most up-to-date brewery listings, and resources for your next beer tasting or dinner, like style guidelines, pairing mats, and charts. Get the inside scoop on new beer releases and special events from today's craft beer insiders, and chime in to share your own knowledge, perfect pairings, road trips, recipes, and more. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids. Come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 9 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA throughout California and Alaska.
And now it's also available on draft at select accounts in the Bay Area.
So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in the can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack cans.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your home brew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
Hi, this is John from Grain and Grape. We've been supplying brewers in Australia for 21 years, and for all that time we've been working to offer the best service around, including free fortnightly all-grain brewing demos, 90 varieties of malted grain from Belgium, Germany, the US, Britain and Australia, equipment from brewmasters, kegerators and crown urns to the humble brew-in-a-bag bag, heaps of hops, wire yeast liquid and Fermentus and Danstar dried yeast cultures, fresh work kits made at Mountain Goat Brewery and on the 200-litre Brewmaster right here in the warehouse. We also sponsor and support brewing clubs and comps, the Australian National Home Brewing Conference, Aussie Homebrewer Forum and heaps more. Mostly though, 100 years of brewing experience means that we can give you the best advice on your next recipe, your new system, or that brewing problem that needs a solution. Mention the Brewing Network next time you order online or by phone for freight free on your next order. Check out grainandgrape.com.au for conditions.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of our 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Our Williams Belgian Pale Extract is mashed with pure Belgian two-row malt and a small percentage of Belgian wheat malt for an authentic Belgian character you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out our unique fermenters, 2.5-gallon kegs, paintball tank-based draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and much more. We even have our own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse our vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
Get one of the few guys with a facial merkin going right here. We got Warren joining us.
By the way, if you don't know who Warren is, he was the one at NHC last year who pushed the Brewing Network Homebrew Club over the top to win Homebrew Club of the Year.
Yeah, he's the one who's the reason why the hop grenade now has balls hanging off of it.
Yeah, the balls on the hop grenade are on my chin.
Yeah.
Under his merkin.
And in my pants, which is a weird combination.
Got the facial merkin.
But anyway, that's Beardy, everybody. So he is your champion homebrewer for the B&R.
Well, and speaking of merkins, I wonder if our friends at adamandeve.com might have
I'll find out right now.
merkins as one of them. If they don't, somebody get on that. I think we ought to have Justin tell them they ought to stock merkins, and they would sell like a.
I should get some royalties.
Is it like double-sided tape to attach a merkin?
Tape, little spirit gum. I don't know.
No merkin. But I tell you what, on the front page, they have some pretty good waterproof Delight vibrators.
There you go. And if you want to get those, guys, gals, if you want to looking to spice things up in the bedroom,
wow.
If you're fantasizing, surprising your lover with some adventurous new toy,
do they have any aeration wands?
Check out.
Well, they have something that can double as an aeration wand. I'll tell you that.
For a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. And that's not all. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs. And you'll get a free extra gift so sensual we can't mention on the radio.
Did you say essential or sensual?
Sensual. SENSUAL. We can't mention on the radio. To top it all off, they'll throw in free shipping on the entire order. It's a really great deal from a great sponsor that's been around with us for quite some time now. Check it out, adamandeve.com. You go there, you use the offer code JAMIL, JAMIL. You're going to get free 50% off one item. You'll get 3 free DVDs, and you get a free gift and free shipping. A lot of free stuff for buying one item at half price, and their prices aren't ridiculous. So you're going to get a great deal. Yeah, their prices are good. I don't think you can really beat the prices. And you get 50% off just to get you in as a customer to start out. So use that offer code JAMIL, JAMIL, at adamandeve.com today.
Well, they also have a bunch of other stuff like toy cleaners and like stuff that you don't actually think you would ever really need, but they're basically your one-stop shop for all that kind of bedroom stuff. It's pretty crazy. They like take it to the nth degree. It's like a Blickman who like engineers like really top-end stuff. That's what Adam and Eve, they think of everything.
The Blickmans. But yet they have no Merkins.
Of the toy.
They don't have
I tell you, they get the Merkin. Tell them, look, we'll sell 100 Merkins easy.
But I think in this day and age, the less hair, the better, right? Isn't that what it is? So who wants like 70s bush?
Sometimes you want the bush, you don't want the bush, you're shaved. You can just, all of a sudden you decide that night it's going to be like a, 70s disco night. You slap on the Merkin. There you are. You're rocking the Merkin.
Have you heard about the new?
You go, and then the next day you got to go down to the gym. You're walking around naked. You yank that Merkin off. And
I think Matt Brindleton should license his velvet Merkin. Look like his beard.
Right.
I don't know. I think there's money.
You could do a casting of the beard, and there you go.
I'm going to avoid my question. I'm just going to get to the chat room.
Okay.
Chat has better questions going on than mine, which was about men wearing tights, which is weird. This is from Butt Widget, which is, again, probably you can get that at adamandeve.com. I've seen a good bit of conventional internet wisdom, he says that in quotes, about using dry leaf hops, and I'm wondering what the real deal is, which is also in quotes. The internet wisdom, in quotes, is to use anywhere from 10% to 20% more dry leaf hops than pellets due to the fact that one gets better utilization from pellet hops. Can't I just calculate IBUs and use dry leaf hops ounce for ounce in the same amounts? Why or why not? Centennial is already hard to get this year, and I'm being forced to change over and want to make the right calculations. Thanks for being the best show on the internet. You guys rock. And then here's an addendum. A flat 10 to 20% rule seems like a thumb in the wind, and differing variances in alpha acid levels could really cause a lot of variance. Is it just the craft part of craft brewing, or is there a way for a dude in the garage with a beer in one hand and a calculator in the other to make this repeatable?
It's repeatable. You multiply by 1.10, and there is a less utilization in the whole hops because the pelletizing breaks up the lupulin glands and exposes all that stuff, and you get a better mixing of all those little alpha acid bits with the wort. So yeah, that is true. Part of good utilization is good mixing with the wort, and when that material is deep inside the cone, it does not get mixed with the extra wort. So 10%.
All right.
I mean, it may be, like you're saying, it may be 7, it may be 12, it may be, who knows. But, dial in with your own, take some notes, give it a try and see. And if you say to yourself, in hops each year, you're going to get kind of a variance on that and your grains and everything. You just need to, be a good brewer, and that's where the crafty part comes in.
Do you agree or disagree, John?
I agree. Yep.
You would.
Mm-hmm. That's what my memo here says.
Agree with Jamal.
That's
right.
When he signs that check at the back, it says, "I hereby agree with everything that Jamal said."
Does the green sign come on or the red sign? So
this is from Scott. He says, "Hey, howdy, hey, and greetings, cretins. Love you guys long time, and many thanks for all the awesome info that the show and you two individually have brought to the hobby. So the deal is this. Over the past several years, I've become increasingly visually handicapped, basically almost blind as a bat. Now being able to brew has somewhat mitigated the journey into the depths of insanity, but at the same time, it can be very frustrating, and one might assume possibly dangerous, as being blind and playing with hot things could be, well, contraindicated. I don't know. That's a big, long word. I'm sure there are...
Contraindicated?
Yeah. I'm sure there are others with many different challenges who could truly benefit from and obsess over brewing just as much as those less blessed with such obstacles. So I was wondering that JZ, JP, and the ingenious Mr. Blickman explore options that could make brewing safer and more enjoyable for us functionally challenged folks, keeping in mind that many of us brew on budgets as well. In addition, I would like to extend a huge measure of thanks to JP for putting his book on the web, as it is the only way I would have been able to read it. All the wonderful info out there, but so little of it is accessible to so many in situations such as myself. Another reason why Brew Strong and CYBI rock, blah, blah, blah. Cheers, Scott.
So, JP, you have a book, what is it, Cats and Unicorns, that you put on the...
Yeah, it's a I get it all the time. JP is not John Palmer. JP is Jason Petros. John Palmer is John Palmer.
Rock Candy.
Rock Candy is John
Rock
Palmer.
Candy, Palmer.
Handsome
like
guy with junk in the trunk is John Palmer. Guy who loses in fencing competitions to 14-year-old girls is John Palmer. This is not JP. This is not Jason Petros. Just sorry, Scott. I don't like yelling at a blind guy.
Have we not in the past? I don't know if it was you and I, John, or somebody else. I've had some
stumbled around blindly in the dark together. Yes,
blind drunk. No, I had a home brewer who was completely blind.
I remember the story.
Yeah, and so
not much else, but I remember that.
He got around with just fine, He was talking about reaching into the kettle to feel the level of the water and things like that. And something's boiling, you wave your hand over it, you can hear it boiling, you can kind of feel it spitting as you have your hand over there. You can tell whether it's a rolling boil or a simmer. I mean,
it's still dangerous though.
I don't know.
I gotta imagine they have like audible thermometers that will like give you an audible
right, sure, absolutely. You can get thermometers that read out what the temperature is, so you can use that for your mash and strike temperature. Or for your extract, do an extract, you don't even need that. And he got along just fine. I know it's a serious challenge. I don't know that I could do it, but
I guess I think Scott, if he could, make some suggestions on what sort of gadgets would he think would benefit him, we could probably talk to Blickman about them.
Yeah, or what he does. I mean, you tell us. We don't have any experience brewing while incapacitated.
Here's what we do: is we get John Blickman to close his eyes, put a blindfold on,
and say, "Do
and
this,"
brew 10 batches. And he probably would. I bet you he would, at the very least, try doing certain things with his eyes closed to see how it was. I bet you we could get Blickman to.
I think we've all done it, at least the kids. When you first learn that someone can actually be blind. Well, you don't want to look at it. It's gross. It's an ugly thing down there.
What is that system that Morbier sells now? It's like the one.
Oh, the Brewmeister
vessel.
Yeah,
the
you can definitely do that.
I think anything that like limits it to one vessel, to limit moving it around, would help. And I mean, Brewmeisters are pretty expensive, but
that's true. They are.
But, you're not moving around anything on like a Blickman top tier. The kettles are set there and you just...
But there's valve, you need certain rates to open up. And, there's certain...
but you can feel, the position of the valve and,
There's a lot of stuff, but, I mean, it sounds like he's not 100% blind.
Right,
because then I would recommend you just stop. I don't know. I would recommend stop, but I'm a pussy. I don't want to burn myself.
Right, but so here's the thing. Blickman could go ahead and design a fully automated system where you pour grain in one end and beer comes out the other.
Right.
And it's like, how much homebrewing is that?
Or you make friends with someone and have them brew for you, so you can make the recipe and taste the stuff along the way.
Or you can talk with them. And this guy's already been. That's the way I do it. This guy's already been. Brewing, so he has some ideas. But you could have friends come over and participate in that. But it would be a good thing for for Blickman maybe to think about if there was
totally.
If anybody could think of ways to make people with reduced sight more effective in the brewery, then that would be one way.
But like an audible brewmometer.
Yeah, they have. There has to be some. Anyway, Scott.
Good question. I like that.
Keep brewing, dude. That's awesome that you're still trying to work it out, man. And sorry to hear about your blindness.
No reason to give up. I think, like they say, it'll improve the other senses. You'll be, your detection sense, your sense of smell may, get that. You just focus more on it.
I don't know. I don't even like brewing when I'm kind of sort of tired. So I can't imagine like going blind. I'd be like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, I'd probably just lay on the couch.
Oh, for sure.
I was born blind.
People bring me.
It got better.
What?
I really was born blind, though.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a joke.
It's funny, though.
Your delivery is awesome, Warren. What do you mean you were born blind? You were actually legally born blind.
Yeah, I had my retinas were underdeveloped, and so I actually just didn't have enough to where I was worse than legally blind. But retinas continued to grow as
Did you brew before
unlike
your
testicles,
developed?
huh, JP?
Tell me about it.
No. I don't know if I was doing very much before my retinas developed. But
you're just doing extract, were you? Or?
Burn from John Palmer.
I don't even know what's happening anymore. You want to do
a break? Yes.
You want to do another break? Our last break?
Our last break, and then we'll come back, maybe one or two more questions, and that'll be it for the show.
Cool.
Back after this.
When Blickman Engineering set out to design a great brewing stand, they knew it had to be strong, adaptable, and last for a lifetime. The top-tier brewing stand is now proudly available at BlickmanEngineering.com. It grows with your brewing skills and equipment. Start with 5-gallon coolers on its heavy-gauge stainless steel shelves. Then move all the way up to 30-gallon pots on the high-output burner tiers. Speaking of burners, the custom Blickman Engineering top-tier burners are extremely powerful, efficient, and amazingly quiet. They have safety stops to center your pot, and they'll last a lifetime and won't rust. The top-tier brewing stand allows virtually infinite combinations from traditional gravity systems to 2 tiers to completely horizontal. Configure your stand the way you want and have the freedom to change it at any time in the future. Your brewing stand should adapt with you, not force you to learn a new process. Visit BlickmanEngineering.com today to configure your top-tier brewing stand and to find a local Blickman retailer. You'll be surprised with all the flexible features and the competitive price. Start brewing with Blickman from the top tier.
In a world where everything has been lost.
What happened to the city? It's in ruins.
Only one man has the ancient knowledge to restore civilization.
I need a drink. Oh no, the liquor store's been ransacked.
You looking for beer, stranger? Boy, all the liquor got drunk up in the first 25 minutes of the apocalypse.
Wait, there's still some bottles over... Oh, no. Those are non-alcoholic beer.
I reckon you better stick to arrowroot tea and a desperate nomadic existence like the rest of us.
People, I'm a home brewer. I know how to make alcohol. It can't be done. Come with me if you want the beer. Okay, I'm gonna need some big plastic buckets.
He is the chosen one. The prophecies say that he's gonna get us wasted.
Someone start heating water. And
from the creators of Northern Brewer, the people who brought you $7.99 Brew Saver shipping, massive selection, and superior customer service comes the home brewer.
A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeasts, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Hi, I'm Jamel Zanishev, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
I think this is the most bizarre time in the studio I've had in a long time.
I really want to do
a
show where we just leave the mics on during when for what we're talking on breaks.
Yeah, we'd lose most of our listeners.
No, I think we would gain a shit ton.
It would be a lunch meet.
Are super interesting.
It would be lunch meet. We were super interesting.
Was that our last break?
Yes.
Yeah, we'd lose all our sponsors, just like Rush. Twin Baller.
All right. 2 more questions. 1 more.
All right.
2 more.
It's
1,
from
2.
Imong Twang in the chat. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. Hey, JP. I'm assuming he means Jason Petros and not John Palmer. I was wondering which styles would be the best to brew using a sour mash, and what qualities do those styles have that lend themselves to melding with that particular sour flavor?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Chris's question.
Chris, is that your question? Are you the man?
He loves the... Of course, he's going to say Berliner Weiss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, the obvious answer is the German sours.
When are you guys going to fuck up that style for Heretic?
Oh, man, I can't wait. I don't know. Probably not for a little while until we get into our own brewery.
Yeah,
and have
can you
some space.
imagine selling 30 barrels of Berliner Weiss?
Oh, man,
I would drink it
awesome.
all. I wanted all that Tafelbully, but I couldn't afford it.
I could brew a Berliner Weiss.
Right.
But, yeah, so the German sours like Berliner Weiss and Goza are good candidates for sour mashing. I theorize that you can do a lot of the sours, any traditional sour with a sour mash if you complement it with a Brettanomyces fermentation afterwards. But it won't be exactly the same. It's a very different sour character than a traditional bacteria-driven souring. So, Jamel, have you done any sour mashes at all?
Yes, I have.
And how did those turn out?
Sour.
Nice.
All right.
So basically, just they're lent for just keep them to the sour styles.
Sour mashing, generally for the sour.
Well, I mean, the Germans
sour
will
mash
use
for acidification of the mash.
Acidifying, the mash to keep the right Heizgebot. But they'll just have like a sour mash going all the time and use just doses of the wort to.
That's where the
do that.
German acid malt comes from. Is just in order to adjust pH. All right, one more, real quick. Got a short one?
One more email one. Yeah, maybe.
Depends how much we prattle on.
Well, no, here we go. This is from Jeff in Pacifica, California. Yay. Hey, Brew Strong. Love the show. You guys have not only increased my blah, blah, blah. You guys are awesome. JP's great. Since listening to your show, I'm awesome. Okay, here we go. I've scoured your archives, but I've not found anything related to whirlpooling. I know virtually every commercial brewery employs this practice and was wondering what it can offer to the home brewer in the final product, if it is even necessary. Maybe you could also detail how the home brewer might perform this practice with or without a pump. What might be different in a whirlpool versus non-whirlpooled beers for commercial or home brewed examples? How important is it to appropriately separate the break material from the ferment for the final product? What role does whirlpooling play in hop aroma? I appreciate all you guys do, and thanks for reading. So no, that's not a short one at all.
Yeah, good job reading that one. So the main reason that commercial breweries whirlpool their wort is really just to recover more wort. They're trying to get the break material and the hops and all that crap in the middle so they can draw off more liquid wort to ferment. So it's all about money when you're commercial brewing. So that's why they whirlpool. That's essentially the only reason for it. In home brewing, people do this. You can do it for a similar reason. I did homebrew whirlpool chilling just because it's a faster way to cool down the wort. But just the whirlpool itself, The problem with whirlpooling and hop character is if you're letting it sit, when we whirlpool, we're whirlpooling 20 minutes and then it sits for 20 minutes, that's at least 40 minutes. A lot of breweries, it's an hour. You let your wort sit hot for an hour, the hop character tends to really drop off until you chill it down. So a lot of times you want to run through a hop back or something like that. And what I found was when I switched from using an immersion chiller in homebrewing to a counterflow chiller, my hop character actually decreased because the wort would sit hot while I ran it through the counterflow chiller versus immediately kind of locking in some of that hop character. So, I'm not a big fan of whirlpooling. I think commercial brewers do it just because they have to for financial reasons. Anybody else? Chris? John? Warren?
No, it covers it.
Yeah, I mean, what whirlpooling itself is it's cloning wise, it's just a time thing,
right?
So you don't have the actual whirlpooling. You might have some sort of difference in the utilization of the hop oils with the agitation, just to maybe. But I think the entire the actual motion is just to get at the cone. And if you're using an immersion chiller, then you don't have to separate because you don't want the protein in the hops going into your plate exchanger, especially when you can't take it apart like a braised exchanger that you would use at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just about trying to get the cleanest wort possible to go through your heat exchanger. And as long as you keep out the majority of your break material and hop material, if you're using an immersion chiller, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's call that a wrap. If you're listening live, hang on. We're going to do one more. Just because JP told me we had to.
Hey, I need to pay the bills, baby.
All right. So, if you got any questions for us, stay tuned, and you can ask them live in the chat room. You go to thebrewingnetwork.com, chat now, and you jump right in and ask us the questions on the show. Or you can email them to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we always love to get your questions and show suggestions and other goodies like that. And, nude pictures of your wife, especially if they're good looking.
Or your girlfriend.
Or your girlfriend, yeah.
Or your wife's girlfriend.
Or your wife's girlfriend, or your wife's boyfriend, or whatever.
Wife and your girlfriend.
Your wife and your girlfriend together.
Warren is a good addition to the show.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know.
Yeah. Chris, he's too serious. He's got information, shit like that. It's just annoying.
Chris has information.
Yeah, just
we don't need that. We need weird stories about Warren.
True stories about retinas.
True stories about Warren. All right, if you want more of this and more true stories about Warren, you go to thebrewingnetwork.com. Check out the store. There's lots of goodies in there. When you buy that stuff, all the profits go to the bottom line of the Brewing Network and help keep this programming on the air. So if you enjoy it, go check that out. Also, you might check out some of our great sponsors, Blickman Engineering, Adam and Eve, good folks and good products of both.
Craft Brew U.
And Craft Brew U. All right, so until then, brew strong.
Brew strong, everybody.